and a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide, wherever you are, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. We appreciate you being here, and happy first week of 2024. So my honor and my privilege to be here with you today on January 5th. Can't believe it's already 2024. It's already a new year, and I hope that you're spending your time wisely, taking some good time here, coming off the holiday season to do right by you, take care of your health. I know a lot of people out there have been getting under the weather, so please get your sleep, get your rest, get out there and do some good things for you and obviously help others as always. I am so grateful to be here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and to be here with you inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We're going to start the broadcast off. We're going to flip things around a little bit because Scottie Rodgers here is connected with, obviously, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and what's coming up here for the national championship game. So we wanted to make sure we could get Scottie on the broadcast. The Director of Communications for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic will be discussing the game between Missouri and Ohio State, as well as having the discussion on Jimmy Johnson. He was there at AT&T Stadium when Jimmy Johnson was honored in the Ring of Honor for the Dallas Cowboys. So a lot of great stuff coming up with Scottie, who is always a pleasure to have here on the show. Then we'll jump into our trio of signature Friday segments, the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel, DeWitt. LEAD, our acronym for Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. And the Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by Canine Kamp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, where we have the opportunity to honor someone here. And these are all the first of 2024, so happy to make some history with you here today. So with that being said, let's bring in Scottie picture in picture here from down in the great state of Texas. Scottie, how we doing?
Doing great, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And Scottie, every single year you and I have an opportunity to discuss what you do and to look at different angles and pieces of it, matchups that you have and whatnot. This year's Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, what was special about it, unique about it, from the kind of background before we get into the game and everything that happened? Operationally, what were some maybe changes, different nuances that happened this year with the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic?
This game really signified a end of a chapter. I won't say an end of an era because we're going to be living on for a very long time beyond this. An end of a chapter in the sense of this is probably the end of the extended bowl week, maybe, having the 6, 7 days of a bowl week where we can truly showcase our hospitality and give the teams, the best taste possible of Texas hospitality and being in North Texas. As we move forward, starting next year, our game every year will be a part of the CFP. We will be a CFP game every year. So starting next year in the 12-team playoff, will be a semifinal, and then the following 2 years after that will be quarterfinals. So with that, there's going to be some parameters that are still being worked through by the CFP, but we know that our bowl week is going to be shorter as far as that's concerned, which means we're going to have to reimagine what is going to happen during our bowl week, from an operational standpoint, from what the teams experienced, from a media operation standpoint. So we got a lot of work to do here in the quote unquote off season when we get past the CFP National Championship to have a lot of conversations and put some things on paper and try to determine what's going to be the best way to go forward when you're talking about a championship that's going to have a first round, a quarterfinal, a semifinal, and a national championship with an adjusted schedule. Our game next year is going to be on January 10th. Ironically, that's my birthday, but that's not going to be in around New Year's. It's going to be, you're talking about getting into the heart of the calendar year and people back at work, back at school, those types of things. So how do you draw people to a game? Our game is going to be on a Friday night, but how do you draw people to that game when you're talking about a game that's going to be on January 10th? So while there's some challenges ahead, there's a lot of great opportunity. So I think a lot of us are really excited about those conversations and what we can do to kind of reimagine and rethink how we do what we do.
Yeah, and like you said, a reimagining that this is the end of how we know the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and other bowls to look like as we step into this new college football playoff. So, in this reimagining, what can you say about maybe some of those initial thoughts of how you keep it special and find ways to make it unique. I mean, you and I have spoken for years about what you do in the community. It's not just, hey, we give out gifts and we have a game. There's so many things that go into the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and the ways that you interact with the student athletes, the way that you interact with the fans. Have you given any thought to some of the things that you say, hey, these are part of our foundation? We're going to have to find a way to keep these things. Do you have some that you have to carry over when you kind of look at the reimagining of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a lot of different things. I don't want to spill the beans on anything that we may do, but I'll give you one example. One of our signature events that we've done during bowl week, our big play, it's been a lunch, it's been a breakfast, it's been a brunch. Our initial conversations is to move that into a kickoff event that happens in August. So that allows us to celebrate the start of college football, allows us to celebrate the community in a different way, unite the college football community in a
Yeah.
different way in North Texas. What that's going to actually look like, we still have a lot of work to do, but conceptually, that's a conversation that we've had. So that's a way to give a signature event that's been a part of our bowl week for a number of years and give it new life and give it new space and give it a new opportunity to do something even um, more impactful in the community and give us a presence in the start of the college football season that we hadn't had in the past. So that's something that's being discussed. We hope that that's all that's going to work out. At least that's our initial discussions. But I really do think that something like that, that's a perfect example on how we can reimagine something and not lose it. Yes, you're going to have less nights during a bowl week, but we can still do some of the signature things that we do for the teams, for the media. We might just have to, combine it. We have to reimagine it in a different way, especially based upon the schedule but still do it the way we do it. And the good thing about us, I can say, is so impactful is that we have so many great partners across North Texas.
Yeah.
Whether it's, this year we moved our media hotel back to Irving, where we had been for a number of years. We'd been downtown Dallas, whether it's Irving, Dallas, Grapevine, Arlington. You name the cities that are in and around that make up North Texas. And there's so many different people, there's so many different organizations, there's so many different companies that help us out and help us do what we do to make things special for our game and for the student athletes and the coaches and the families and the schools and the institutions that come to our city. So we are excited about that. And that's what we are going to focus on. We're gonna never lose that. We're gonna maintain that. We're gonna find ways to enhance this in this change week that we're going to be having. So we're excited about the opportunities. Yes, it's the end of a chapter here, and we ended it with obviously with a great game between Missouri and Ohio State. The game was intriguing to the very end. Not a lot of offense as people saw as those who watched the game, but that led for a lot of intrigue that had the people glued to the game going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and Scotty, I mean, like you said, this was a different game, right, than the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic that we saw last season with Tulane and USC. That was a shootout, where this one is very, very different, more quiet offensively. To have two games that have that juxtaposition that are so different, what can you say to that? The fact that in just 2 seasons' time, we saw this Tulane USC game that went down to the wire, pound for pound scoring, and then this Missouri Ohio State game where it was, like you said, less offense, more quiet, more just, who's going to get those extra couple points to get the victory. What's it like to have that juxtaposition?
It's pretty unique because you really look at, one of the things that was consistent between both of them was the electricity in the building. Missouri was extremely excited to be in the game. This is their first New Year's Six bowl game, while not their first Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, but their first under the moniker of the New Year's Six. So their fan base was overly excited. And look, Ohio State has played in games like this uh, across their history, and in most recent years, they've done this year and year after year after year. That doesn't mean they didn't want to win the game. So they came in there ready to play too. So their fan base was excited as well. So you got two excited fan bases. You got SEC, you got Big Ten, you got the beauty of AT&T Stadium, and all of that together it's just created the electricity. That's why we got the numbers that we got from a television standpoint as relates to close to 10 million viewers that watched the game, and being one of the most watched standalone non-semifinal New Year's Six bowl game since 2016. So that just shows you not only were Missouri fans fired up and Ohio State fans were fired up, but college football fans and sports fans were fired up to watch that game because we were Friday night, we were in prime time, people wanted to watch a great college football game. And yes, it may not have a lot of offense, but it was a great college football game because it came down to the wire and teams had to battle. And Missouri scored their points late and was able to hold on for a victory. But I mean, a play or two here and there, and next thing you know, Ohio State is back in that game, and we're really getting down to the wire with that game. So, we had over 70,000 in the building, and electricity in the plazas before the game with the bands and the pep rallies, and the day before with the Goodyear Hull Up on the day before and the day of, and the events that we did in and around, whether it's a Cotton Bowl Live event the day before, Battle of the Bands the day before, just a lot going on that gave fans who came in town something to do, something to be engaged with, and something to enjoy while getting ready to watch their team, play in a big time college football bowl game.
Yeah, and speaking of playing in a big time college football bowl game, we live in a world now where there's a lot of opt outs. And if it's not connected to the college football playoff, then maybe they don't want, and for, here forward for you, you're going to be there as a quarterfinal, semifinal game. So hopefully that part of the issue won't be there. But if it's not going toward a national championship, guys will opt out. If they're thinking about going to the NFL, guys will opt out. If they're jumping in the transfer portal, they're not on the team anymore. So you have this game with Ohio State, but Kyle McCord commits to Syracuse. Marvin Harrison Jr. decides to sit. What does that do to the game, and what are your thoughts on that? Because obviously when you're trying to sell a bowl game and you get your matchup and they say these are the two teams that are coming to town, here's who's coming to Arlington, the hope is that it's good against good, right? That it's the top talent against the top talent. But we don't see that anymore. We see guys that will opt out of even being in the college football playoff if they're planning on going to the NFL and they don't want to get injured. So how do you assess this? Do you want to see some rule changes, something that states like, hey, if you're on the roster, you're on the roster until the last game that your team plays. You can't transfer while you're in the postseason, or, if you're healthy, you can't opt out, or there's a penalty for opting out. How would you like to see this, since your bowl specifically was without the starting quarterback and top wide receiver for Ohio State?
Look, I think this is probably the understatement of the year. College football needs some fixing. I don't know how it's going to need to be fixed. There's a lot going on, whether the opt outs in the postseason, the transfer portal, the recruiting cycle that is around college football right now, where all of that is happening in December. Now you're talking about it's going to be right now, unless it's changed. That's going to overlap a whole tournament, which is going to be what the 12-team playoff is over the month of the heart of it is over the month of December. All of that can happen at one time and be done the way that it should for the betterment of the sport. So I am not in the position to be the one that says what should happen, but there are some people here that are across the country, whether they're at the conference office or they're at an institution, that's got to sit down as the leaders in the space and have that conversation and figure out what are the things. And I think they just got to look at it realistically because it's going to be, there's got to be some significant change in order to have some impact with what's going forward. I mean, what we're staring at is a fundamental change in how college football operates. And again, I don't know what that looks like, but it's definitely something that's got to be addressed. The NCAA convention is coming up right on the back end of the CFP National Championship out in Phoenix. I'm not attending, but I'm sure there's going to be a number of conversations happening there, and they're probably going to, if I assume what I hear and the conversation, there's probably going to be a time to bring forward some proposals and some ideas that can get vetted out through through this first half of 2024, and then hopefully get some sort of place where people can agree upon and get them in place so that they are enacted for the start of the 24-25 academic year, and that way people can be prepared and ready to do what they need to do as relates to that. And it's a challenge. This is a turning point in how college football operates, and a lot smarter people than me are going to help figure it out. I'm sure they'll rely on and ask some of us questions and maybe some opinions along the way, but it's really going to be at the heart of having worked at the NCAA office. People think, well, it's the people that's in that office makes the decision. Really is not. Those are the people that put the decision into action. The decisions got to be made by the membership, and the membership are those who leading at institutions, those who are leading at conference offices, and they have to sit down and find that common ground to make that decision.
Yeah, and speaking here with the director of communications for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Scottie Rodgers, on college football and where we are right now. I mean, like you said, having worked in the NCAA office, it comes down to the institutions and the conferences saying, this is what we're going to do. You and I have spoken about this before. I'm still very concerned about this and where we're at in the sense of different tiering. Now, I came up with a proposal over 2 years ago, what I thought was going to happen, that there would essentially be 3 tiers of college football in Division One. That the SEC, maybe the SEC and the Big Ten, would become its own thing, and then there would be the rest of the FBS, and then there would be the FCS. In conversations I've had over these last few months, that is not out of the realm of possibility, and there has been a conversation of a 3-tier system. How do you look at college football stepping forward? The SEC has branched out. They're taking Oklahoma and Texas, and we know that the SEC already had more than enough product to sell. The Big Ten is getting an entire West division with all of this taking from the West Coast. So the world is going to look a lot different. The Big 12 is kind of taken from a little bit of everywhere. And then some conferences like the American Athletic and the Sun Belt have had to regroup. The ACC is going to be welcoming in Cal and Stanford, which I still can't believe is going to happen, with the Atlantic Coast Conference having 2 Pacific Coast teams. Where are we, Scottie? Are we going into a world where the SEC says see you later to everybody and forms its own piece? Are we going to have 2 college football playoffs? Are they going to mix this up again because the current model is 4, the upcoming model is 12, but the upcoming model of 12 was based on the Power 5 plus 1, and now the Pac-12 is not going to exist. So are you concerned that the model that the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic is currently in right now, that they would adjust that again, change that again, and do they make it a Power 5 top automatic bids and then have 7 at large because the Pac-12 is not going to be that 6th? Do they move in the Sun Belts with the American and say, okay, here's our top 6 plus 6? What do you know about what could change? Because we've waited so long for a college football playoff expansion, but without the Pac-12, does that change anything?
At this point, I know, and most people know nothing because the decisions have not been made. Those conversations are still in the heart of what's happening. I mean, there's a change in the leadership at the CFP that is going to happen in the year in this calendar year, and how that is going to affect the conversations. I know Bill's going to remain on in some sort of a consulting role beyond his official end. So that's going to create some synergies and going to create some consistency with the conversations that's happening. So there's a lot going to happen. But what I can say is that we feel confident about the place of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic in the postseason, and in particular as a part of playoff. We know what we bring to the table to help to be able to produce high quality, top notch college football postseason game and experience for those that are going to participate. We can bring some things to the table that not a lot of other people can when you talk about where we are, what we do, the resources that we have amongst our group, our staff, the people and organizations that we work with. Obviously, having the support of the Jones family, the Dallas Cowboys, and AT&T Stadium. We'll put all of that up against anybody in the country and around the world because we know what we can bring to the table. So, however, there may be some shifts along the way, we're in position to be flexible. We're in position to be ready to do what needs to be done to host the game at the level that we need to host it because that's what we do. That's what we do best, and that's what we want to do. And, we're excited to be coming out of the box in this 12-team playoff. It just so happened that this was the cycle that we're a semifinal in the first year of the 12-team playoff. We're absolutely excited about that, and we want to bring, the highest level of what we can bring for that semifinal game because the winner of that game is going to the national championship. And now, going forward, every year, our game is going to have an impact on the national championship. I mentioned, a couple times that I worked on the NCAA staff. When I worked on the NCAA staff, I was on the women's basketball staff. So I've been around the tournament style that is March Madness. And I'm not saying that March Madness and the CFP is the same thing, but there are some tenets and there's some basic things when you talk about rounds and advancing and surviving and advancing that is a part of what we're about to experience in college football. So there's some things that I think we can gather from and we can borrow from and we can just flat out use from that because there's some things that's happened in March Madness that has evolved and now become a staple, now become the foundation of how that works. And there's some things I think operationally in particular that we can pull from that and use that as guides to help us do this in the tournament. But as I said before, this is a changed time in college football
Yeah.
from the administration of it, the operation of it, from the regular season to the postseason, and this is just going to be a time where some things are going to have to be changed to really make it feel like a cohesive unit that is college football from preseason to in season to off season to postseason.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, there's now comes the time with this change in leadership and these different, opportunities that are coming up once the college football playoff national championship is over to have this conversation of what are we going to do? What's it going to look like? How are we going to word it? And how will we assess the Pac-12 not being the Pac-12 anymore? And who fits in this? Are we going to keep our model and say six automatic, six at large, five automatic, seven at large? But what we do know is that the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic is going to be a part of it. You've rotated in and out the New Year's Six Bowls in the current format of the four-team college football playoff. Sometimes you're a semifinal game. Sometimes you're the New Year's Six, and you come in and out of this thing on a schedule that goes throughout the years. Now you're always going to be a part of it, as you had brought up, Scotty. So what does that mean to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic? To be one of these New Year's Six is obviously a premier showcase spotlight. It gives validity to the work that you do. It gives a bigger spotlight to the work that you do and a lot of respect to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. But now you're going to be on the path to the national championship every single season, be it a quarterfinal game or a semifinal game. Just what that does for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, which I've experienced. I've experienced virtually during COVID, and then on site, on location, and got to see what you do and how you do it and experience a bunch of different pieces of it and how the media is treated as well as what it looks like inside. And I have to tell you, and I'm not saying this because I've known you for a while and because of our relationship or that you're on the air right now, I've experienced a lot of different bowl games. And I will tell you this, and scheduling did not allow me to travel down to Texas this year, or else I would have absolutely applied for the opportunity to come down, and hopefully this coming season I'll be able to do that. But where I was in my travels this year, I will put it simply as this: I missed you, and I missed the way the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic is, because not everybody is the same, and some things are night and day. So to know what you do and how you do it and the experience that you provide and where you are, like you said. I mean, I went to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and then I went to downtown Dallas and I went on the JFK tour, and I got to learn about all that history, and I got to spend time with that. I got to go and get some different barbecue places and experience that. So my time down in Dallas, Irving, Arlington area was spent being in the culture and in the history. I wasn't just hotel game. And I think that speaks even more to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and what you do and where you are. So now that you're a part of the college football playoff forever, and you're not going to rotate in or out, what does that do to all of the things that you're already doing?
Well, it just enhances it, I think, first and foremost. And I think, secondly, what we want to be able to do is, in the right way, share some of the things that we're doing. Because I think over time, while every bowl game is still going to be a little different, we want to come together on some of the concepts that we're doing that hopefully will, and learn from our other New Year's Six friends, and together we continue to put together the best possible product so that when people go from whatever quarterfinal site they're at to our quarterfinal site, or wherever semifinal site they're at to our semifinal, that they're getting in at the baseline, and really beyond that, the most consistent experience that they can. We all want to have our own flavor because that's what's made us great. Whether it's the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, or the Rose Bowl, or the Peach Bowl, or the Sugar Bowl, or the Orange, it's what we do. So we want to be able to make sure that we maintain some of that as a part of what we do going forward. But we also gonna learn from each other, and try to, probably even more so than we have previously, find some consistencies, because we're gonna have to rely on each other. Because look, in the same year, somebody's gonna play in the Rose Bowl, and then 8 days, 9 days later, play in the Cotton Bowl in the same year. That's gonna be a very unique experience.
Yeah.
Or play in the Sugar and play in the Cotton Bowl, or play in the Fiesta and play in the Cotton Bowl. So it's gonna be a very unique experience going forward. So having some consistencies, even more so from round to round, especially when you go from quarter to semi, because that's a part of the New Year's Six, that's going to be really important. So we're going to work through that. We've had a good amount of conversation about that. We got a lot more conversation to go, as it relates to that, and that's what we're going to try to put in place so that the experiences that these student athletes have a lot of consistency, but by the same token, have that uniqueness, so they can say, you know what, I had the privilege of playing in the Rose Bowl and the Cotton Bowl in the same season, and then our team won both of those games and went on to play for the national championship. So that is going to be a very unique situation, as it relates to what we got going on. It's really exciting, and it's going to be unique. It's just going to be unique, and
Yeah.
we don't know what we don't know, as going into it, but we're going to use the knowledge that we do know to build ourselves in this reimagined world of the postseason, and do everything that we can to maintain the number one thing: give the best possible experience for all those involved, from the fans to the teams to the student athletes to the media to everybody that touches our game. We want to make sure that they walk away with an experience that they can always look back on.
Yeah. I mean, I still think about it. And again, I'm not saying this because you're here with me. I still think about the experience of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. And I tell people, I just talked about it recently. I was like, yeah, I said, we're out here in the sometimes the hospitality was a room with a couple bags of chips, at a certain bowl game or a game or whatever that may be, or, a bottle of water. When you walk into the hospitality for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, there were pool tables, couches, pillows, different TVs set up all over the place. There was like this candy shop that was set up there. I mean, we had a totally unique experience, and I still think about that experience that I had at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, because you treated the media like we were the student athletes. We hear about all the time how great the student athletes get treated, and sometimes with the media, it's like, yeah, whatever. You guys are here. You got a badge. Like, have a good day. And that's not the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. I remember going to the hospitality after the game, just thinking to myself, like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to sit in the hotel. I want to experience this. I'm going to go to downtown Dallas and see what it's all about. And I come up the escalator, I turn the corner, I walk into this room, and I thought I was at some VIP private event, like, and you walk in there, and and there were so many different things to do and different ways to experience the hospitality. It wasn't, this is what it is, this is what you do, and then you walk out. It was, maybe you want to sit and watch Monday Night Football, maybe you want to do, like, it was just a totally special standalone event. And I want to thank you and your team for that, because it, for me, 20 years of being a broadcaster, I've never seen anything like what the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic has done. And that's to your credit and to your team's credit, that you stay very unique, not just in your game and your operations the day of, but in how you treat all of us. And there's always a thank you. There's a thank you for being here. And I think that goes a long way.
Well, we really appreciate those kind words, and we work really hard at what we do, and we are very thoughtful about what we do because we want to give everybody a special experience. What you're there to do is very different than what, families are there to do that are supporting the coaches and the administrators, or the administrators and the coaches, or the student athletes. But what we want to do is give you an experience that is unique,
Yeah.
and also that gives you the opportunity to enjoy, because the media in particular are there to work. Your job is, you're not just there to hang out and have fun. You're there to do work, and this is what you do to put food on the table for your families. But that doesn't mean you can't have fun while you're doing it. So
Yeah.
we want to figure out those ways that allows you to, and you get a chance to fellowship with your fellow media friends, some of which you don't know. You're interacting with them for the first time, or you see them on the travels because you work, the college football or the college sports circuit, and you see them at bowl games or regular season games, or basketball games, NCAA tournament games, NCAA championship events, across the year. So we want to create an opportunity where folks can not only do their job, but also have a little fun while they're doing it, because I think that's really important to put you in the right mind space. By the time you get to our bowl game, most media people have been traveling the entire fall. They've been traveling from late August, through December,
Yeah.
and if our game is in the early part of January, they're on their fourth and fifth month of traveling, quite a bit. So, and we understand that. We understand that that's a part of the world that we all live in when you work in sports. But what we want to be able to do is give them the opportunity to have a great experience and be able to do their jobs well. Because when you're, it's the Dion line. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. When you play good, it's all good. It's that same
Yeah.
mentality when it comes to the work that we do, behind the scenes. You know, all those things come into play. So that's what we think about when we're bringing it forward, to not only to the media but to everybody. Because if everybody's having a great time, you know, it puts the players in the best possible place to play well on game day. It puts the media in the best possible mindset to cover the game fairly and balanced and in the most depth they possibly can. It gives the families an opportunity to be there to celebrate the success of their team, to be a part and continue to be supportive of the people that are supporting from their institution, and that's just really important to us. And that's never going to change. Whether we whatever kind of game we are as a part of the playoff, we're going to always keep that at the baseline, and that's going to be our guiding star. No matter what.
Coming here from Scottie Rodgers. Scottie, a final point here, as you are obviously spending a lot of time at AT&T Stadium. Recently, the Dallas Cowboys this past Saturday celebrated Jimmy Johnson. We wondered if this day was ever going to come. Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson have had a an interesting marriage, I guess we'll call it that. And so, from the history of it to your experience of it to being there, you can paint a picture that's a lot different than other people can paint because you were on site. What was that entire moment like? Could you feel that kind of like cut it like a knife? Is it good? Is it bad? What are they going to say? Is Jerry going to go off script? How's Jimmy going to respond? What was the whole experience like? Because as much as people know that I love my Jaguars, Trevor's right over my shoulder. My second favorite team growing up, the Dallas Cowboys. So I always have a soft spot for Dallas. I said my Super Bowl would be Jacksonville, Dallas, and it's been that way for a long time. Jimmy Johnson is very important to me. Not that I know him and that I've been able to sit down with him, but the fact that he gave me so many really cool memories. I loved seeing him as a coach of the Dallas Cowboys. When he went to the Miami Dolphins, I was like, no, those are the lost years. Those don't count. That didn't happen. So paint a picture for us of being there for the moment when Jerry Jones honors Jimmy Johnson, when a lot of us thought they would never be in the same room again.
Well, I'm a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan, first and foremost. So the fact that I get to go into the stadium in which the Cowboys play in every day is my job with the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. My 6-year-old self can't get over it. Every time I walk in and I hear the messages being played, and even when I go into work on a Tuesday and there's no game and there's no nothing going on, and you hear Jerry Jones coming and it's all the welcomes. It's a welcome to AT&T Stadium, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. The hair on my arm stand up, and it's Tuesday at 9:05 in the morning, and so
Yeah.
that just lets me know when I don't have that feeling anymore. It's probably time for me to move away from the world of sports. But being there and seeing that, look, I've been a Cowboys fan since since the '70s, so since the late '70s. So I saw and was around and experienced as a fan from a distance more so during that run in the '90s in particular, and everything that Jimmy Johnson did for the franchise. And obviously, over the last so many years, you've heard of the rocky relationship that they've had. But they had a relationship, friendship that did a lot of things, like a lot of people. Sometimes they ebb and flow, and unfortunately, theirs ebb and flowed in the public. And I think it finally got to a point where life got to a point. It seems like from looking at it from the outside, looking in, that you know whatever they were not okay with each other about became less and less important, and it became more important about the two people who are friends, and then the roles that they had with that organization. Jerry as the president, GM, and Jimmy as a coach that impacted the organization like no other. It was time for all the rest of the stuff to be put aside, and he get the recognition that he obviously deserves in the Ring of Honor. I mean, he's already in the Hall of Fame, so this was just something to truly put that cap on what he's done, and to see the former players there, many of which he coached or now he's in the Ring of Honor with, and being on the field. I thought his speech was so poignant and how he said what he said, and then he obviously had to close it like only Jimmy could close it. And to see him right there with Emmett and Michael Irving and and Troy Aikman, and just to see that laughter. And I was down on the field a little bit at the start of the game, and the Fox crew was down there and walking around, and there was so much. There was an energy in the building that was very unique. I think a lot of Cowboys fans. I don't know if this is the right term. Because there's some people that's using, it's the jinx by doing this. It's the jinx over. Because now the Cowboys can move forward. I felt a little bit of a sigh of relief. Like it was okay. We don't have to talk about this anymore. Jimmy and Jerry and the whole thing. It's like okay, whatever they are now, they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy's got his due respect. He's got his due honor as what he did for the Cowboys. And that's just right. It feels right. It is right. And let's just focus on that. For me, and that's me as a coming from my Cowboys fan perspective. And I think that just makes all of us as Cowboys fans feel good because Jimmy was a part of a time that I don't know is going to be. I mean, look, I get what the Chiefs have done. I get what the 49ers are, trying to do. Obviously what the Patriots did. I mean, there's been other pockets of time where teams have taken over what it is in over a 4, 5, 6 year period in the NFL. And that's a special time. And look, we all want as Cowboys fans, we all want what we want. You know, I know you want Jacksonville Cowboys. I'll take Cowboys anybody in the Super Bowl as a fan. So, and that's what we all want. And I think, we hope to see that day sooner rather than later. And, but to be there and just to be there, just to watch it and be a spectator, was pretty neat. And it's a moment that I appreciated being there for. And, again, I think it's just a really neat time for that to happen. And, Cowboys Nation was able to be as one and give Jimmy his kudos that he rightly deserved.
Final note here, a two-parter. Jimmy Johnson ending by saying, "How about them Cowboys?" Did that, you talk about hair standing up. I know my reaction to it. I put it on my phone. I actually recorded it and then put it out there on all like my social media platforms, my YouTube channel. I put a disclaimer on YouTube. I was like, obviously this is not my, video audio, but I have to put this up. And just because I wanted to share it, I wanted to share it with the world. I wanted to share it with Cowboy fans. I wanted to, I never thought for the rest of my life I was ever going to see Jimmy on the field where the star is and look around and say, "How about them Cowboys?" I never thought that I would see that again. And to see him laugh and smile and the guys hug him and just that whole moment. So bring me into that moment when he said, "How about them Cowboys?" one more time. And then the other piece to this is Dallas still America's team?
Well, when Jimmy said that, the place erupted, obviously. I mean, it just erupted because when he said, "I got one more thing to say," you could hear this rolling, like everybody knew what he was about to say.
Yeah.
You knew it was coming, and in those seconds, and the place just erupted like it should have. It was just it was a feel good Dallas Cowboys moment, and you as a non Cowboys fan, that was just a good moment because everybody knows that's obviously that phrase has been there forever, but Jimmy, the way he says it, it makes you smile as a Cowboys fan. Are the Cowboys still America's team? You know, they're always going to be America's team in my book. So, I that's a hard one for me to answer because I am biased as it relates to that. Look, the Jones family, obviously led by Jerry Jones, has turned the Dallas Cowboys franchise into um, one of the most powerful and influential franchises in sports history.
Yeah.
You know, that is, you can't argue that. You can't, you look at the numbers, you look at the value of the team, and by all those evaluations and valuations that are out there, um, that tells you something about how they built this as a, not only as a franchise, but as a brand. Cowboys fans are everywhere. You go, you look at some of the games where they're playing on the road. I believe it was the game against the Chargers earlier this year. I got the impression from what people were saying there might have been more Cowboys fans there than Chargers fans. It's amazing to be a part of it. And look, you know, I would tell you, you need to experience a Cowboys game, not only going to it, but the whole tailgating and camaraderie that is around in the parking lots. I live in Arlington. I don't live far from the stadium. So many times when I do go to a game, I have friends in town that are Cowboys fans, so I try to catch up with them for those that come in from out of town and just to see how people interact with each other. They don't even know each other, but they have the same love for the Cowboys. So it's like, hey, stop in, come have something to eat, come have something to drink, grab a water, do whatever, listen to our music, watch some of the other games. It's just so neat to see how people, join together, from different backgrounds, from different parts of the country, and just celebrate being Cowboys fans in the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I think that's a neat thing, and I really like seeing that. And it's just really cool when you're walking around and you just see that, and like I said, America's team. Some people might not like that moniker. I don't know if honestly, I don't hear it as much anymore
Yeah.
than I did in the '90s. Maybe when the Cowboys were rolling like they were rolling, but they are a franchise that no matter what their record is, they are a franchise and a brand that eclipse many things when it comes to that. And like I said, they're always going to be America's team to me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's exciting. I will say this too. Like I said, with them being my second favorite team, I need the Scottie Rodgers discount at AT&T Stadium because I bought a Troy Aikman jersey and I didn't even look at the price. I always wanted the jersey that had the blue with the white sleeves and the white star there. I just loved it from playing Madden, and so I found the Aikman one, and I got a bunch of stuff, and I knew the prices of the hats and the different things I was buying. So I brought them all up to the thing and to the register, and she gave me the price, and I was like, "Excuse me." I said, "How do we get to that price?" And she goes, "Well, the jersey is da 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 da," and I was like, "The jersey's the one thing I wanted." So I bought that jersey. I have a beautiful Troy Aikman jersey, but wasn't cheap by any stretch of the imagination. We'll say that. But hopefully, you and I, Scotty, will be able to see each other soon. I know we see each other in travels, but I would love to see you for the Cotton Bowl of the future. And I just want to thank you for everything that you've done because my memory of the Cotton Bowl is at the top of my experiences of bowl games. And I look forward to what that can mean for the future. But you've been tremendous. You've always given me your time. I respect what you do. And I just want to thank you for all of the hard work of you and your team.
Well, thank you again for the kind words, Dan. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep covering college football. Keep covering college sports and doing it the way in which you do. And you said something at the top of this, talking about everybody out there. Definitely use this new year if you need to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself in a better way than maybe you have in the past. I think that's really important for everybody. Give yourself grace and give others grace and truly try to enjoy. We get a chance to be around something that we enjoy, college football and college sports. So, I don't take that lightly and I definitely don't take it for granted. So, Dan, I just really appreciate how you do what you do and keep doing it and keep bringing the word. And we look forward to having you back on site at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic here real soon.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for everything, Scotty. And those words from you hold weight to me in a positive way, and they mean a lot. So I know you got a lot of things coming up with the national championship. Go enjoy it, and you and I will be talking very soon. So God bless as always. Safe travels, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.
See you down the road, Dan.
All right, take care. That coming once again from Scottie Rodgers here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the director of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and director of communications, Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, here with Scottie Rodgers, and cannot thank him enough for everything that he's done and everything his team has done to really make that a special event. You know, you hear about the Cotton Bowl when you're growing up as a kid. You hear about the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl and the Orange Bowl and so on and so forth, and a Fiesta Bowl, and now, you know, and obviously I've experienced the Peach Bowl and everything the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl has done, and the awesome team that's there. You know, it's just it's to be able to do that, to be, and I love what Scottie said, how, you know, how he said what he said. He said, every time I walk in to AT&T Stadium and I work there, he's like, I walk in there every day and I hear Jerry Jones on the loudspeaker, and I, you know, look around and I just, you know, my hair stands up, and it never gets old. You know, I'm like a little kid again. I'm a, you know, and I say it all the time. You know, I'm 6 years old. I'm 10 years old. You know, I go right back to that moment, and it's important to live a life where you have that, to live a life where you appreciate and you're thankful, and you don't lose that child wonder, right? You know, to look around and say, I'm here, you know, and I was like that. I mean, I wanted to stand on the Dallas Cowboy field since I was, I don't know, probably 9 years old, 9 years old, and I have pictures, I have video of me doing that, and I'm actually going to show that to you here now, because I kept it on my phone. You know, I kept all this stuff. I won't delete it. And it's actually right here on my phone, how easily I could pick it up here. And it's funny because I said something that definitely holds a lot of weight and meaning to me, is that I said, and I'm just going to play it so that you can hear it, but this is what I said. I'll be back. I said, can you see it here? I'll be back here. AT&T Stadium, mark my words. I'll be back. So saying I'll be back here at AT&T Stadium, I want to make sure that I can. There we go. So I'll play it again now that we can see it here. I'll be back. I'll be back here. AT&T Stadium, mark my words. I'll be back. So, you know, and getting to stand there as a little kid, you know, thinking about that, you know, thinking about that 9-year-old me, 8-year-old me that just wanted to have that moment, right? Wanted to stand on the Cowboy star, and I did. I went right to midfield, and I stood there, and I mean, just a tremendous, amazing opportunity that the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic does. Because whether you're a Cowboy fan or not, I mean, it's historic to be, you know, in their arena. It's historic to be around that team. And I mean, think about it. When you really sit down and you think about the teams that people know all over the world, whether or not they like them, whether or not they know anything, there could be somebody that knows nothing about American culture, but they know the Cowboys, the Yankees, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You know, there's certain teams that people just know. You know the Cowboys. You know the Cowboys. You know the Yankees. Yeah, Greg, like I was T.O. Yeah, but I didn't. I didn't do what T.O. did, man. I did it out of respect. T.O. disrespectful. Roy Williams knocked him on his butt on that in that situation. But this, which is hilarious because then T.O. ended up playing for the Cowboys. But yeah, I mean, being there at AT&T Stadium, that was a long time coming. Being at Yankee Stadium, that was a long time coming. You know, it's this life that we live. Scottie said it perfectly. You know, when you never lose your childhood excitement and wonder and just like, oh my gosh, my dreams are coming true. When you don't forget about that, when you live that and your hair stands up, like you're living your life. you're living a true, and you're not dying, you're not just here, you're living. They say everybody dies but not everybody lives. There's that notion, and it's true. It's very, very true. Everybody dies but not everybody lives. And I live, man. I live. I 38 years old, and I got to rack my brain and remember every place that I've been to, because there's so many places and there's so many things and so many people. And it's just, and I'm not saying that in a cocky way. I'm saying, like, I am so overly blessed that the kid that lives inside of my soul, that is always with me, that younger version of me, that kid, if he did one of the 9,000 things I've gotten to do already, he would have been like, oh my gosh, God answered my prayers. And it's like every day I'm like, wow, God answered my prayers. Wow, I get to do this. God answered my prayers. And, to live a life where every single day is such a big day. Every day is a big day. That's why, when people ask me in passing, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Or what did you do today? Or how's work going? Or is your company fruitful? I love when people, you tell people you own your own business and they're like, how is that for you? Are you getting by? And it's like, yeah, would you ask that to somebody who's a nurse? Would you ask that to someone who's a bus driver? I mean, it's just funny when you tell someone you own your own business, they're like, how are you doing? Is it okay? Are you making it? And it's like, yeah, I've been broadcasting for 20 years. I've worked for myself for more than half that time. I think I'm doing okay. Yes. So, but you realize that you can live in one of two worlds. You can live in the world where you're trying to please other people, or you can live in the world where you're looking up like Scottie is and looking around and saying, like, no matter what people think of me, say about me, have tried to do to me, look at where I am. Look at what I'm doing. I mean, it's the new year. We're 5 days in, and I just came back from Florida from covering the Jacksonville Jaguars, my favorite team. I just got to talk with Scottie Rodgers, who I have a great relationship with, who is in AT&T Stadium all the time with the Cowboys, who was on site to see Jimmy Johnson, who's one of my favorite coaches ever, and a huge reason why the Cowboys are my second favorite team. And I know people say you can't have a second favorite team, but again, I don't care what anybody thinks. I grew up, first and foremost, I was a Dan Marino Dolphin fan. And then my best friend in elementary school was a huge Cowboy fan. So I got to know all the Cowboys more than I knew the Dolphins. So then I became a Cowboy fan, not because they were winning, but because I knew so many names of the players, and I started collecting their cards. Then I wanted my own team, so I became a Jaguar fan, but I never lost that Cowboy piece of me. So people that know me now know me as a Jaguar, but people that know me know that, I always cheer for the Jaguars and the Cowboys. Unless they play each other, I'm always cheering for them. Every week, I'm cheering for them both. And and I was thinking about it yesterday. If the Jaguars win this weekend, both of my teams are in the playoffs. So, that's how I look at it. That's how I see it. I don't really care what anybody thinks. And, I love that. So, what did Greg say? AT&T Stadium, certainly in the Super Bowl rotation. Maybe you can get your dream big game someday. I would love that, Greg. And you know what, Greg, I want to say this while we're here. And to all the people, to Jerry K, Jerry H, Greg, to all of, the wonderful people that make it such a point to listen to the show, to watch the show, to connect with the show. There's many of you. Greg has been one of the most devout. So, I appreciate you, man. And I hope you know that for my super-powered pop studio, that Topanga that you got me is in the studio in the backdrop. And those Robin Williams glasses that you brought to one of our fantasy football drafts that you didn't have to do, but a very kind gift from you, those are sitting right over my shoulder here in the studio. So big time shout out to people like Greg that have been so supportive. We talk about living our dreams. Well, it's a beautiful thing to be able to have good people in the community that are total strangers that connect with you through what you love, and you end up building friendships. So I want to say thank you, man. From me, from Papa Joe, from from all of us. So big time shout out to you, Greg, because you deserve it. I definitely appreciate the life that I get to live, but I need to do more living it, more in the moment living it, because it is. I mean, it's crazy to think about, like, there's certain games I couldn't go to this year because I was going somewhere else. In the past, it was like, oh man, I hope I get a credential. I hope I can go to one of these games. And this year it was like, I have a bunch of opportunities to potentially go to all of these games, and I have to decide. And that to me is, I mean, I wanted to go to them all. I still, looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I was here. I wish I was there. But I mean, I'm happy with obviously where I went, but you got to sit back and you got to enjoy those moments. You have to take those moments in, to be like, I hope that someone sees the value in my work, and to get to a point in your life where you're like, a lot of people see the value in my work. And now I'm trying to figure out, what can I do, because I want to do it all. I want to be there for it all, because I really do, and I want to be there for Lily, and I want to be there with my parents. And I just feel very blessed and very thankful. And I'm going to treat this year very differently, because, I got to start living. I'm always doing, but I got to start living. And this year is going to be my best year yet, because I'm working on it. And I hope the same for you too. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. Our first annoying moment of the week, our first lead, and our first top dog of the week of 2024 are all coming up next. Please stick around for it, because these segments are a lot of fun. We do them every single Friday. We typically do them 9 a.m., 9:30, 10 a.m., annoying moment, lead, top dog. But we had to flip it because I wanted to make sure we spoke with Scottie, who was stepping into a meeting right after he got off the Zoom call with us. So let's take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this, where Sports Meets Life on Wake Up Call. The annoying moment of the week is next.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are bringing you here our first annoying moment of the week of the wonderful year of 2024. We appreciate you being here where sports meets life. I'll tell you one of my annoying moments of the week. That right there. The allergies, that can make like the hoarseness in your voice and all that stuff. So let's jump right into the annoying moment of the week, because I got some stuff for this week.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The annoying moment of the week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel, DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so. The annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. My first one has to be this, right? Because my people that know, some vocal cord stuff and some things just with like muscles in my neck and whatnot were bothering me this year. A very kind of unique and strange. I don't really understand. I'm healing still, and God willing, I will be okay. Be well in Jesus' most precious name. Claim it. So be well and stay well in your name, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And heal from anything and everything. That I pray that for us all, including myself. So it's been frustrating, right? It's been annoying. It's been ridiculous. My neck injury, beyond the stuff that I just mentioned, it was feeling better. And then I had to get on a plane, and I had to, bring my luggage. Now, I have roll bags, but you got to pick them up and put them in the thing. And then, you got a little space. You got to pull it through the thing. So no matter what you do, you have to put emphasis on there. What I've realized is that everything starts in your neck, because like your neck and your spine. Because when you pull here with your arm, that comes all the way through up here. And with your posture, it's right up here. So, I have learned a lot about my body, and that's one of the positive takeaways. But I would love to feel better. I would love to heal. I would love to be okay. I'm getting a massage today, so hopefully they can work on, these muscles and freeing everything up and my nerves and all that good stuff. Because I have a wonderful place that I go to that actually, it took me years to find a massage therapist that actually helps you and isn't just like some people, you'd leave there and you're like, I feel the same. I went to one place and I was like, yeah, I feel like nothing happened. And then I went to another place, which was one of my annoying moments of the week last year, because it was just a very strange experience of just like somebody talking the whole time and saying weird things to you and making just weird. And so I finally found a place that has been helpful, and I'm really hoping today that they will be extremely helpful. By the grace of God, I believe that they will. So God bless to that. And, they're a wonderful person. So looking forward to getting a massage and actually working some things out and trying to release that. I was supposed to get one sooner, but because of the fact that my neck was, just tight and things were going on, I was concerned that even light pressure was going to hurt it. So now I'm going to give it a shot. But, we spend money on so many things. And I know like going and getting a massage is not necessarily cheap. Could be $70, $80, whatever. And yet as much as it's not like the cheapest thing to do, if you think about it, when you go out to dinner, 2 people, you're spending like $60, $70, depending on what restaurant you go to. So in all honesty, we always justify spending money on things that probably aren't that good for us. And yet when there is something that is, like people spend money on beer, get drunk, wake up the next morning with a hangover. They spend $120 at the bar, but they could justify it because they had a good time, right? And people, please drink responsibly. I've been hit by a drunk driver. I've dealt with people that have alcoholism. It's not a great world. Please take care of yourself and think of other people. So, but people spend money to go out and party. But then it's like, oh, it's $75 to get a massage. Nah, that's too much. And it's like, no, why do we justify things that aren't good for us? And, times where we kind of just waste money, as opposed to things that really are good for us, right? You're willing to go out and party, have a hangover, and feel terrible, but you're not willing to help your body. We got to flip that around. So I'm doing that today, and hopefully that'll be great. So my annoying moment of the week, just going through these kind of weird injuries or frustration or, inflammation of like my neck or my vocal cords, any of that stuff. Just wanting things to get better and to be healthy and to be well, because, who doesn't want that? So that's one of them. My other annoying moment of the week, again, my relationship with dating, and how I feel about dating. And I just am not a fan. I'm not a fan of dating. I don't like doing it. And actually, that's not true. I like doing it. I don't like the talent that's out there right now that I've met. There are great women. There are great men. The women that I have met, kind of like when my dad and I used to go fishing. You catch a catfish, you throw it back. That's what it feels like. And pun intended. I mean, all of that intended, catfish. But, I mean, it's not fun to date in today's world because a lot of people want to use dating apps, and you know how I feel about dating apps. It's so fake, and people lie. And the things that they say they don't want are the things that they do. And it's just a total waste of time. And people make promises that they don't keep. I mean, if dating apps have done anything for me, it has discouraged me from ever dating anyone ever again, which is not what I wanted to do. But I don't like dating apps. They're not fun. They're not exciting. They're not fruitful. I have met liars, time wasters, hypocrites, crazy people. I haven't met one normal person on a dating app. Not one single person that was a normal, functioning female who treats people with respect. And I'm sure that there's women out there that could say the same thing. Hey, I've been on dating apps and I haven't met a normal man who da-da-da-da-da. So don't take this as like a man versus woman thing. It's not. I'm talking about my perspective. I date women because I'm a man, and, so when I look at life in the world of dating, I can't help but use this as the annoying moment of the week, and I could probably use it every single week. And, just to talk about it every single week. And let's see. Well, I want to get to this for a second here because we got some messages that came in. Maybe, what does it say? Maybe with the future upgrades at Jacksonville, they might get back in the Super Bowl host rotation. That would be great. That would be quite the experience. Content galore Super Bowl week. Amen to that. And what did Greg say? Please don't have an hour-long conversation with me. Please. A quality massage is a wonderful treat. Yeah, man. One lady talked the entire time. It was nuts. He said, treat yourself, DT. Catch a red snapper, put it in the cooler. And, yeah, man, I haven't found a red snapper. I found some eels. I found some catfish. I found that fish that's in Finding Nemo that has those crazy teeth and has that light bulb on the edge of its head that's like swinging off, that like really scary looking, like Dr. Crazy looking thing. But yeah, I found that. But no, internet dating is a sham. And honestly, I feel like they're just trying to get your information, because I'm going to tell you one of the internet dating sites or whatever, dating apps, whatever you want to call it. I went on a dating app before and I was filling stuff out, and I kid you not, it was like 20 minutes of questions. It said, do you believe in conspiracies? Do you trust the government? Have you gotten a COVID vaccine? And I was like, this is not a dating app. This is literally like the national government just trolling people. And then I went on one and it asked me what my sexuality was, and there was 13 different choices. And I can't even pretend to describe what I would have thought some of those were based on the spelling and verbiage of it. But it's just so weird now. It's like, do you consider yourself a man? Yep. Are you sure? Uh-huh. Do you want us to put it on your profile, or do you want to hide that you're a man? And I was like, what? Like, so just the initial dating app verbiage is discouraging. It's very discouraging. And it's just not fun. So, I mean, I have reserved myself to the reality that if there is a woman out there that is going to treat me the way that I have treated women and loved on them and just doted on them and been a gentleman. I'm not perfect. I make my mistakes, but the way I want to love a woman, if there is a woman out there to love me back and treat me right, she's going to have to meet me outside of dating apps and the internet and all that stuff, because I cannot even begin to start the discussion of how crazy. I'm telling you, that fish from Finding Nemo, I'm going to look it up right now. That fish from Finding Nemo, I'm going to show you a picture of it because I need y'all to know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to look up Finding Nemo dating app. No, I'm kidding. So I'm going to look up Finding Nemo crazy light fish. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Look it up. I looked up crazy light fish. There it is. That's what I've dated. I've dated the crazy light fish. There it is. Those are the women that are on dating apps, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the men and women that frequent the dating apps that waste your time. Here they are. This is what they look like. I need you to check it out. Get it in, get it really close. That's them. That is them. Sick. Just sick people. Hypocrites, liars, time wasters. Just absolutely ridiculous. So, such a waste of time. If I had a nickel for every time somebody wasted my time on a dating app, I don't even know what I would have right now. A lot of money? I'd have a good amount of money. I'd have enough money to go back to Aladdin's Castle arcade in the old Carousel Mall. Shout out if you hear me. So, I miss Aladdin's Castle so much. That's another annoying moment of the week, too. Why don't we have arcades? Like, you know what I mean? Today's youth is just doing some really stupid stuff, right? They're just doing some stupid stuff. They're like over-sexualized. Why can't we just go back to the arcade? I don't want children that are 5 years old learning about sex on the internet. I don't want 10-year-olds talking about it. It's just gross to me. Like, the stuff that kids are exposed to, I was not exposed to as a child. I was exposed to Aladdin's Castle arcade. I was playing Pac-Man, and we were doing air hockey and skee ball and the clown game where you throw the baseballs at the clown's face, which is really great for clowns in their industry, that children grow up thinking that you're supposed to hit a clown in the face with a baseball. So, you know, my apologies to clowns for that game that was created. There was Whack-A-Mole. What other game? There was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, the X-Men game, the Simpsons game. There were so many things, so many fun things that were not like sexual and crazy and violent. I mean, think about it now. Little children are learning about sex and violence when they're like 4. That's insane. That's like having Hitler watch your child for an hour. Like, why would you do that? By the way, I don't like anti-Semitism, and I don't appreciate people discriminating against anyone, including Jews. And I'm going to say that openly on my show, since the Ivy League presidents can't say it themselves. Every single one of you that cannot stand up against racism, prejudice, sexism, and hate needs to resign today. Not just Harvard, everybody. Let me be clear about that, because that's another annoying moment of the week for me. I never thought I would live in a society, and in my 30s, after learning about Hitler and learning about Nazism and learning about all of this prejudice against the Jews, I never thought in my life that I would be a child learning about Nazis and Hitler, and then I would be an adult realizing that there are people that are anti-Semitic. To me, if you're anti-Semitic, how are you better than a Nazi? How is the president of Harvard better than a Nazi? If she can't stand there and say that she's going to stick up for people in the Jewish community. And I have a lot of friends that are Jewish, and it doesn't matter if I do or not. I'm still going to stick up for people because I'm never going to stand for hate. I will never stand for hate. Ever. There's no part of hate that's good. There's no hate that's reasonable. There's no hate that's okay. But if you really want to get my gears going, every single president of any university or any college or any high school or anything, that anybody anywhere, presidents, CEOs, COOs, if you cannot stand against racism, sexism, ageism, religious persecution, any of that stuff, if you cannot stand against the disgusting prejudices that exist in our society for reasons unbeknownst to me, because I don't know why we have to have any type of prejudice, if you support any of that stuff, resign and leave your position, because you are not a good leader and you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be there. It sickens me. It absolutely sickens me that we are in a world where I'm a grown man, and what I learned was bad as a child is now happening with me as an adult. It's happening around me. I never, ever in my life, I could have wrote it on a piece of paper, kept it in my pocket, and said, my prediction is that that anti-Semitism will never be on the rise again. I never genuinely thought that would happen. But anti-Semitism is on the rise. Anti-Catholicism, anti-Christianity is on the rise. Basically, if you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus Christ, there is this very weird, sick, disturbing movement of people that don't want that in society. And those sick people should go live in Guantanamo Bay. That's how I feel. They should bye-bye. They should go live away from the rest of civilization. You don't have to torture them. I don't believe in that. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Just put them on an island by themselves where they can wait for Satan to come get them to take them to hell. Because they don't need to be here. They don't need to be in civilization. And the fact that the Ivy League, which is supposed to be the best of the best, cannot stand against hate and persecution, y'all are some sick people. And I don't know whatever you serve, but it's not what I serve. And y'all need to be out. Gone, 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 gone. It's, you know, if you can sit in front of the world and not stand up against hate, I don't know how you can see somebody bleeding in an alleyway and not do something about it. So if you're one of those people that, you know, is like, hey, they're hating on somebody, but they're not hating on me, you know, sick. But there's a movement going on in America that will eventually collapse upon itself because these people that claim that they love each other and want to help each other, eventually they're going to choose each other over the other person, and then it's just going to go back to what it was anyways. So if you want to have real change and real love and real goodness, you have to be able, number one, you have to be honest. Number two, you have to know why you're doing and saying what you're doing and saying. And I believe you have to have a God, and you have to have not a God, the God. If you don't have God as your compass, you will fail eventually at every single thing that you do. You will. You will fail. If you don't have God as your compass, you will fail. Because what's your compass if God's not your compass? America? Your country that you live in? The internet? The girl or guy that you're dating? Who's your moral compass? Because everything is fallible underneath God. Everything is imperfect underneath God. So whatever you follow in place of God is imperfect, which means eventually it will fail. Eventually, it's not going to work. Because nothing is foolproof. Nothing, especially things created by humanity. So my annoying moment of the week is definitely beyond any doubt. If there is a sick bird out there who is hating on anybody, you need to find yourself some God, and you need to pray and get that out of your soul, and you need to come back to the light side of things here, right? Come back to the goodness, come back to the light, come back to the blessed. Don't sit in the shadows anymore. And if you are a leader of anything, and you are leading and not standing up for hate, I hope you're not my boss. I've left bosses who were prejudiced in some way, shape, or form, sexist, racist. I've walked away from those people. I've walked away from business deals because somebody was racist. I walked away from a business deal because somebody sexually harassed their employees in front of me multiple times. And I walked out. I was like, we're not working together. This is not something that I'm going to pretend like I don't see. So if you can't stand, I've lost money doing the right thing. I've lost friends doing the right thing. If you're not willing to lose things to do the right thing, then you're not doing the right thing. If you only do the right thing when it's like, I'm going to do the right thing as long as I don't lose money, notoriety, prosperity, friendships, business relationships, I will do the right thing as long as I don't lose any. No. A lot of times doing the right thing, you're going to lose something. And you're going to realize in the future, you didn't want that dirty money. And those people that you thought you lost, no. God was taking you out of the bad situations with people that were not good for you. There's not a single person that I walked away from that I miss when I walked away from them because of prejudice, sexism, ageism, racism, whatever it may be. Any of those people I walked away from, I don't miss them. I remember the situation so that I can grow from it and realize it when it happens again. If it happens again, God willing, it doesn't happen again, but if it happens again. But my annoying moment of the week, wow. You're going to sit in front of a microphone and you're not going to stand up against racism, hate, bigotry, ageism, religious persecution, you are a sick human being, and y'all need some Jesus. Y'all need some Jesus. I can't even fathom what society is becoming in America right now, where we say that we love everybody and we stick up for everybody, and then when they ask you a specific question about a specific group of people, you're like, yeah, we don't stick up for those people, but we stick up for everybody. No, you don't. I mean, how can there be anti-Semitism on a college or university campus in 2024? I don't believe it should have been there ever. But after everything we know about Nazism and the persecution of Jewish people, how in the world does one single person think that anti-Semitism is a good thing, let alone a leader of an institution? The leader of the institution guides where the boat goes. So if your leader is racist, ageist, sexist, prejudiced in any way, that's not a good ship to be on, because that ship's going to crash. And I can't even fathom that Harvard and hate are in the same sentence. I can't even fathom that. Growing up as a kid, if you got into Yale or Harvard, you were considered the smartest people on the planet. I don't see any intelligence by the leadership of some of these places these days. So, my annoying moment of the week is the fact that there are people out there that say that they stand against hate, and when they're specifically questioned on it, they can't answer. See, when you have a good heart, when you actually genuinely believe in what you say, it shows. When you are who you say you are, it shows. When you're not, then you see what we've been seeing in America. A lot of people want to say, oh, I stand up for this, oh, I care about this, oh, I do that. How many people complain about America, say they hate America, they hate what America's become, stomp on the flag, F the flag, screw the flag, I'm going to burn the flag, I'm going to do all this stuff. Think about all of those things that you hear. Think about all those things that you hear. And yet those people still live in America, still eat the food in America, still have the luxury of being here in this country. So many people complain how this country is so bad, but I don't see any of those people leaving. Those are like people in relationships that tell you that their boyfriend or girlfriend is so bad to them, and then 3 years later, they're still sitting on the couch of the apartment that they have with that person. And you're like, okay, well, guess what? I don't believe anything you say anymore. It's either not that bad or you don't care that it's that bad because you're still in the apartment. If you hate America, leave. What's keeping you here? Bye. See you later. There are certain countries where if you went out publicly and said you hated the country, stomped on the flag, and burned it, you would be murdered that day. You would disappear. You would go to jail. Remember when America, if you burned a flag, that was treason. So there's a lot of people belong in jail if that's the case. My annoying moment of the week is as we step into this new year and it's an election year, God help us all. I don't want any leader to be leading anything. I don't want any human being to call themselves a leader if they stand for ageism, sexism, racism, prejudice of any kind, persecution of any kind. I am not for it. Absolutely. You don't get that here. I joke around about life and about things and about relationships, people I date, but I don't have hate in my heart. You know, dating stinks, but there's good women out there. Right? There's good men out there. I've had people do me dirty in business, but there's also really good business people out there. You know? And we talk about a lot of things on this show, and people are afraid to be honest now. People say some hateful, mean things. In the cancel culture, they say horrible things about people. And then they're like, are you afraid of the cancel culture, Dan? I'm like, they should be afraid of themselves. Do you hear these people? If they ever turn on each other, they're going to eat each other alive. I serve God. I don't serve cancel culture. I don't serve a certain group of people. I never once in my life was like, hey, I only want this color to listen to the show, this age to listen to the show. When I started in radio, I was told no women are ever going to listen to your show. It's men 25 to 54. Stay in that lane. That's where you live. And I was like, no, I'm going to have women listen to my show, and I'm going to have people of all ages listen to my show. Why? Because of who I am and because of what I care about. Why would people not want to listen? It's a family-friendly show. We don't sit here and swear and drop F-bombs and do all this stuff. It's a family-friendly show. It's a loving, caring show. And as much as I joke around and get serious about things, the baseline of everything I do is love, care, God, faith, hope, justice. That's what I live on. So, to me, how can I as a broadcaster, especially now, be afraid of what I say on a microphone? When these crazy people are not afraid of what they're saying on the microphone, they're saying horrendous things about people on a microphone. Things I wouldn't even imagine to say. There's things that I've seen in this past year that I couldn't even fathom a human being could think of, let alone put out in words and let people know these thoughts. It's like, wow, you had that thought? Keep that thought to yourself. But here we are. Here we are in society, where good people are afraid to talk and people that do bad things are more than excited to say stuff. We got to flip the script. We have to flip the script. Because anyone who is a leader of anything, anybody anywhere, but when I look at leaders, it's like your job is to lead people. Your job is literally, by definition, to bring people from one place to another. So you can't bring somebody from one place to a positive place if you have this racism, sexism, prejudice, anti-whatever. So am I happy the person from Harvard stepped down? Yeah, but still gave themselves a job on the staff somewhere. It's like, I'm leaving, but I'm really staying, and I'm still gonna have, you know what I mean? If they still have power to make decisions, they didn't leave. And I'm not wishing bad on someone. I'm not wishing that someone loses their job. I'm saying if you have hate in your heart, do us all a favor and leave your post. Because we don't need hate leading us any farther than it already has in the wrong direction. Newsflash, people. America, this world, humanity, is not going toward the right direction in society right now. We're going in the opposite direction. And those of us that are trying to go in the right direction are being yelled at, persecuted, chastised, hated, canceled, because we're trying to go in the right direction. Going toward God is going against cancel culture. How did we get here? And why are we afraid to say it's wrong? The more fear that cancel culture and hate and all this stuff puts in you, the more quiet you're going to be, which is the stronger it's going to get until this entire world is in flames and you're wondering how we got here. We got here because nobody spoke up. Nobody took a stand. My parents didn't raise me to be a kid who saw hate and kept my mouth shut, to be a kid who saw people picketing and said, I'm afraid of those people, I'm going to run away. No. My parents taught me that if something's wrong, you stick up against it. If they hate you for it, you stick up against it. If it's you and God versus the world, then it's you and God versus the world. But never be on the side that God's not on. Because that's your soul. And whether people like me or not on this planet is inconsequential to whether or not I get to go home to heaven. If people like me on this planet and when I die, God sends me to hell, or I send myself to hell, I should say, what does it matter what happened here? But then there's people going, Dan, there's no heaven or hell. When you die, nothing happens. So just live free life, do whatever you want to do. No. See, that's not the truth. And I don't like this is the truth according to you. This is the truth according to me. No. God exists. And how people can't see that is beyond me. It is beyond me. God is the reason why I'm sitting in this chair right now. God is the reason why I don't know how to QUIT. God is the reason why I come back every time I get punched in the face. You think I don't have an annoying moment of the week of certain things that have happened every week or every year. There are certain things that people do in society that I could use as the annoying moment of the day every day. But I got to spin it to a positive. We talk about the annoying moment of the week. We have fun with it. We laugh. We joke. We talk about serious stuff. But the hope is to always spread information and put us in a place where we can grow and learn from each other. And I'm looking to grow and learn from you, and I hope you grow and learn from me. So with that being said, my positive spin on this is keep praying, keep loving, keep living the best life that you possibly can, keep being good to people, keep being good to yourself, think of others. Don't hate somebody because they look different, sound different, seem different, act different. Every single one of us is a child of God. This is the thing. This is how you defeat hate. See, people think you can defeat hate without God. This is the hypocrisy of the society that we're in America right now. We're in this hate society that claims that it loves everybody, but it's really just a love facade with a heck of a lot of hate behind it. And they say that you can't have God. Well, God is the only thing that can keep you from hating anything and everything, because God doesn't hate anything. If you believe that every single person is a child of God, every single animal is a child of God, every single plant, everything that has life is a child of God, then you wouldn't hate anything. If you believe that we're all in the same family, then you wouldn't hate. So to take God out of something and to say that the movement that God's not a part of is the movement that's anti-hate, no, it's not. It's pro-hate. Because any movement set up without believing that we all come from the same family is a movement that will have hate in it in some way, shape, or form. They might be for something, but they're against something else, right? Because there's people that might be, they might be anti-religion, right? They might be anti-religion and they don't believe in any of that, but they agree with you on healthcare. So then I say, as a Catholic, hey, I want to go, with you guys to this meeting on healthcare, and they say, no, you can't come because we're anti-religion and you're Catholic. I'm like, yeah, but this is a healthcare meeting. Let's go to the healthcare meeting together and let's work on this together. No, you can't go because you're not in our club. You can't sit in our treehouse. So now they're hating. They're trying to support one group, but they're hating the other groups. That is where society is right now. We're all in groups, and that should be your annoying moment of every single week, that we've been grouped together. Why have we been grouped together? Because divide and conquer. It is a lot easier to divide a house and beat that house. You cannot beat a house as easily if the house is together. If you go into a house and the kids hate each other and the parents are cheating on each other and sleeping in separate beds, that's an easy house to take over. If you're in a house where there is love in that house and they will die for each other and they will jump in front of a bullet and jump in front of a knife, that's a tougher house to take down. And the society we live in today has been overrun by grouping people together, and we wonder why we have hate. Because people love what they are and they hate what everybody else is, because they think everybody that doesn't look like them, sound like them, act like them is trying to take something from them. I'm proud to be what I am. But that doesn't make me think any less of you. I'm Italian and Hispanic. That doesn't mean I don't like German people. I have a tan complexion. That doesn't mean that I'm against people that are very white or very dark. I'm a man, which doesn't mean I don't like women or don't respect them. I come from fantastic women in my family. And they raised me how to be a good man more than any man did. I want to give my grandfather some credit, and stuff, and learn some things from my dad and my grandpas. My mom and my grandma, my G-mama, taught me how to be a good man, how to respect a woman, and how to say when I'm wrong, how to clean up after myself. So shame on anybody who's saying, I stand for this, and so I'm not going to stand for these other good people because they're not like me. That's an annoying moment of the week. Please let us not go any farther into the history of humanity or into this new year with ageism, sexism, racism, prejudice of any kind. And if you are a leader that is leading with hate in your heart, do us all a favor and step down. Harvard was one step. It's not enough. And they're still on staff. So they might have lost the title, but if they get to make decisions, if they get to sit on a board, then what did we actually gain? We just shifted hate to another place. We didn't get rid of it. We just moved it. So I don't wish bad on anybody. I don't hope bad on anybody. All I'm saying is, if you have hate in your heart, please remove yourself from any leadership role where your beliefs could poison the rest of the water. And side note, how about you pray and maybe go on a little hiatus, go on a little trip, and figure out why you have so much hate in your heart, and gosh forbid, work on getting rid of that hate. The world is going to be better off with good leaders who love people. I don't even understand, like, I think everybody should be loving and caring and not have any isms. You know, those sexism, ageism, racism, shouldn't have any of those isms in their lives, in their heart. I mean, I feel like that should be the basis of society, like the literally bare minimum of society. How did we get here? We got here because of complacency. We got here because we didn't want to offend anybody. We got here because we were too busy thinking about ourselves instead of the bigger picture. You want to make the world better? You need to care outside of yourself, and you need to stand up when something's wrong and not be afraid. Because the world today is psychotic. It makes no sense. There are things that happen in society today that I can't, if you told me this as a kid, I would think that I was living in a horror film. And those same people that make us feel like we're in a horror film are the ones that we're too afraid to say anything about. Say something. What do they say? If you see something, say something. How are you any better than watching a woman get attacked in an alley and walking by? How are you any better than that moment if you see hate out there and you don't do anything about it? It's the age-old question. If you saw someone attacked in an alley, would you go and help them, or would you walk away and say, thank God it's not me? Could you live with yourself? Because we think so much about us, my family, my house, my money, me. And what happens when something bad happens to you? You say, why doesn't anybody think about me? Why are they always thinking about themselves? You think about yourself all the time, and when you need help, you want somebody else to think about you. You are a hypocrite wanting somebody to give you the thing that you don't give. You think about yourself 24/7, and the moment something bad happens in your life, you say, why didn't anybody call me? Why didn't anybody come to me? Why didn't anybody help me? Because they're like you. You got what you are. Eventually, you get what you give. If you are a selfish, self-centered person, at some point in your life, you will be met with a selfish, self-centered person, and it's going to piss you off, and then hopefully a light bulb goes off in your head that the thing that's making you the angriest is literally God making you look at yourself. And on the other side of it, conversely, if you're a really good person who's been abused and criticized and hated on and all this stuff, eventually you're going to come across somebody who's really good because God wants you to see that. He wants you to see you. God shows you you at some point. Throughout your life, many times God will make you look in the mirror. And you have to decide whether you want to be the person that wants to look at themselves in the mirror and can actually be proud of it, or looks at themselves in the mirror with their head down thinking, I can't even look at this person. I can't even look at them for 3 seconds. You have to decide who you're going to be. So my annoying moment of the week is that we have allowed hate into our society and we're too afraid to talk about it. I'm not. Bring it on. People hate me all the time because I work hard, believe in Christ, live a good life, get to travel, make my own money, work for myself. I'm not a preemptive strike person. I don't go out and say bad things about people, do bad things to people. No. When people do bad things to me, I pray for them. As angry as I am, and as much as I want to say this, do that, I end up praying for those people and talking my way through it. You know how many people cuss me out that I wanted to cuss out? I never cussed them out. See, an eye for an eye is in the Bible. And if you poke the right eye of everybody, if I'm standing here and I poke the right eye of the person next to me and they do that all the way around, eventually my right eye gets poked out. It all comes back around. So for you to think that what's going on in culture and society today is not going to affect you, you're insane. If you sit in silence and don't stand up against things that are wrong and against hate, it will come to your door. And if you stand up against it, it still might come to your door. But I would rather fight a battle with God than try and do it by myself. Because I've failed every time I try to do that. So be a good person. Stand up against hate. If you see something, say something. So that I can stop having this be my annoying moment of the week. So, let's do better. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back here with Lead right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to go a little bit over today, as we always do. I might as well just, extend the show because we extend it literally daily now. It used to be a few times a day years ago. Now it's like every day we go past 11. So it is now time for Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver. And this acronym proudly presented by the wonderful team at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, led by the wonderful human being and a very faith-filled person, Mr. Jimmer Sikowski, and his beautiful family. A shout out to Betty, Hunter, Jack, and Sam, and of course to his brother, that was just on the show recently here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our Light Between Us segment. So a big time shout out to the wonderful Sikowski family and all that they have done to enrich my life and enrich so many lives in our community and beyond. I cannot thank you all enough for the love that you've given and the beautiful things that you've done. So it really means the world to me, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for the Sikowski family. So looking at that with Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, and a big shout out to Andy, who was our last guest on the Light Between Us once again, Jimmer's brother here. I want to thank them so very much. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, bringing you LEAD, which is an acronym that God helped me to create back in 2019 that stands for Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver. Today's topic, don't be afraid to ask. And they say, ask what, Dan? Don't be afraid to ask what? Well, don't be afraid to ask in general. If you want something in your life, don't be afraid to ask for it. That's what I was taught, right? If you really want something, why are you afraid to ask for it? You're never going to get it if you don't ask for it. Why are aliens trending right now on social media? I can't. What is society becoming? Why are aliens real? But I feel like this society just keeps getting more and more like a really, 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 really bad movie. So we need to turn it around, folks. We got to turn around. We can only do it together. So don't be afraid to ask. What do I mean by that? Well, I was taught by my parents growing up, if you want something in life, you have to ask for it. And Driston said, you find the worst of the worst on dating apps. Couldn't agree with you more, Dan. I'm saying, man. I'm saying. So speak that truth, Driston. I appreciate it so very much. So it's, but yeah, just telling the truth here, man. I'm talking from experience. You do find the worst of the worst on dating apps. I don't know what it is. I don't know, if they're all, from the same, place that, they all just come from there. Like, hey, let's go out and let's screw up society. I don't know what it is, but there's dating apps they are a terrible, terrible thing. And I'm not sitting here saying, hey, don't go out. I'm not attacking the businesses. That's why I'm not naming names of businesses. It's just a terrible situation. It's a terrible situation. And I honestly think they're just trying to get information from people. Because like I told you, I go on a dating app and they're asking me if I trust the government. Did I get a vaccine? Do I believe in conspiracies? What does that have to do with me wanting to date a woman? The questions I was being asked honestly felt like I was being interrogated by the CIA. Like that's not normal ways to go about things. And so, yeah, no, dating apps are not great. And I definitely would hope that you meet somebody in just the run of life. Because to meet them on the dating app is, if it's all dating apps have done for me is make me think that society is worse than I thought it was. So that's not good, right? I mean, that's not a good takeaway. So, but I know there's great people out there. I'm surrounded by them all the time. God has given me some of the sweetest, kindest, most beautiful, wonderful people in the world, and I will always be grateful for that. So, with that being said, taking a look at don't be afraid to ask. Yeah, my parents taught me that if I want something in my life, I got to ask for it, right? I got to ask for it. I got to be willing to ask for it. It's funny how many things that you would get in your life if you just ask, because so many of us are afraid to ask. We're afraid to simply just say, hey, may I have this? And to find out that if you asked for it, there's a song called If You Ask Me To. It's one of my favorite songs. And it literally is, if you ask me to, and it's just telling this person, like, all you have to do is ask me, and I just might give you this. I might give you my heart. I might stay here in your arms forever. I may give you all of that. And it's funny because when you think about things, you'll go see documentaries or you'll see like different shows and whatnot, and they'll say, well, why did this person get it and nobody else did? And they would say, honestly, because they asked for it. They asked if they could, right? May I help you? Like, how do you know that I wouldn't hire you? Now I'm going to do a background check. I'm going to do all my stuff. But if you say, hey, I'd really like to work in editing. I'd really like to work with you, Dan. I love the stuff that you do. I'd like to help with this. This is what I can bring to the table. How do you know that I would say no if you didn't ask? Right? Don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing you're going to hear is no. And if you're like me, when you hear no, you're just like, that means not right now. That means not from this place. But that doesn't mean forever. That doesn't mean forever. There's things that I'm doing in my life this week, next week, that literally correlate with the fact that I heard no, and that didn't mean no forever in that situation. It meant not right now. It meant you're not asking the right person. It meant some things have to change before a yes can come. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't live your life in fear. So many things in your life you could have had if you were just willing to ask for them. Ask God for them. You know? For example, if you're like me, right, and you're single and you want to have a family, you want to get married, this and that, you know, we look up at God and we go, God, where is it? God, where is it? God, where is it? But how many times do we get down on our knees and say, God, I pray that you help me find the right person for me, my better half, my true love, and that I can have children with this person and have a beautiful family, and we can just be married and happy and live the rest of our lives together, supporting each other and loving each other. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be perfectly us, right? That we're enough for each other. Help me to find that person that makes me not want for anything, and same for her to me. How many times do we ask that of God, right? We complain about all the things we don't have, but do we ask for them, right? Are you willing to go to a boss and ask for the job? Do you know how my career got started after college? I went to a radio station, a conglomerate of radio stations and newspaper. They had a little bit of everything. And I went there and I met with, I called up one of my teachers from Marywood University and I said, hey, do you know of anything? Like, what about this? Because I feel like everybody is telling me that I need experience, and how am I going to get experience unless I have a job? So someone's going to have to hire me. So she gets me an interview. God bless her. She gets me an interview, and I thank you, Judy. And so Judy gets me an interview, and I sit down with this person, and I think I'm having a good interview. And then he says, okay, well, here's the facts. You know, he said, I'm going to stop you right there. Why should I hire you? He said, you're out of college. You didn't necessarily study this field in college. Because it was radio that I wanted to be on the air, but I also had to be an account executive. So he's like, you don't have any experience in sales. You haven't worked for anybody. And I said, let me stop you right there. I said, with all due respect, I'm tired of hearing no. I said, every one of you asked me to get experience. And how am I supposed to get experience if somebody doesn't give it to me? Every place that we apply to says you got to have 1 to 2, 3 years experience. How are we supposed to get experience, professional experience, which you consider post-college experience? How are we going to have professional experience unless somebody hires us? One of you has to hire us in order for us to have the criteria on here, because we have to start somewhere. So you can either tell me to leave like everybody else did, or you can hire me, see my work ethic, see what I'm capable of, and if you're right, you look like a genius. You make all those people look like idiots that didn't hire me. How about you give me a chance? In 6 months from now, if I'm no good at it, I will happily let you kick my butt out the door. But I am sick and tired of hearing no, so how about you say yes? And if you're right, you get to boast about the fact that you knew something nobody else knew. He said, stop right there. That's it. I want you to say that to my boss. I want you to say exactly that, nothing else. That you're sick and tired of hearing no. You're sick and tired of hearing no, and you want the opportunity to be that somebody has to give you, in order to get experience, somebody has to give it to you. That you're sick and tired of hearing no. that we should hire you because you're done with hearing no, and why shouldn't you guys say yes? And if you're right, you guys look like geniuses. And I got hired, and it started my career, and I got to put my show on ESPN Radio, which was called the Dan Tortora Show at the time, which propelled me to come back to Syracuse and put my show on the ESPN Radio that was on James Street at the time, which propelled me to go down to Orlando on ESPN Radio, which propelled me to go to Fox Online on Scout.com, which propelled me to the Score 1260, which propelled me to Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and starting my own company over 11 years ago. Don't be afraid to ask. Ever. Okay? She's too pretty. She won't date me. How do you know? Don't be afraid to ask her. Stop thinking that you're not a catch. My dad says to me all the time. He goes, stop thinking that you're not worthy of something. Because if you think you're not worthy of something, then to you, you're not. But it's not the truth. Okay? What do people tell you in dating all the time? As a man, what have women said to me forever? Confidence is sexy. If you lose your confidence, you become less attractive to me. I've had women tell me, if you lose your confidence, understand what that's going to do to me. Confidence is sexy. Confidence is attractive. Confidence in business is attractive. You don't want somebody coming into business that's not confident in what they sell and confident in what they do. They can't look you in the eye. They can't shake your hand. They can't give you and back up the information and substantiate the things that they're telling you. If somebody is not confident, it will affect them professionally, personally, in all walks of their life. Confidence is key. And part of confidence is not having fear to ask. You have to ask. And you might hear no. But I don't miss any of the no's. Do you understand? I don't even remember all the no's I got. I don't even remember those conversations. The girls I asked to prom that said no or let me think about it, I don't even remember who they are. I don't remember, and if I remember who they are, I don't remember what I said, and I don't remember what they said. Do you think I remember the news channels that I applied to that didn't get back to me? I don't remember. I don't remember what state they were in. I don't remember their call letters. I don't remember any of it because it doesn't matter. Get into the habit of asking for what you want. Get into the habit of having the confidence and the belief in yourself and the courage to go out there and ask for what you want. Ask that girl or that guy to go out on a date. Ask that person to consider working with your business. Ask for that interview. I've never thought of myself as below anybody. And that's gotten me in trouble with people that want me to think I'm below them. But I never thought that. I don't say, oh, I can't call the AD of a college. I'm not on that level. Oh, I can't talk to the head of the CFP. That's ESPN's job. Oh, I can't do this. That's, Fox did that. Oh, Pat McAfee interviews. I can't interview that. No, I don't think that at all. I say to everybody out there, do you. And if you can sleep at night and you can live with yourself and you think you've done enough to get back to heaven, God bless you. I'm not concerned with what you're doing over here. Unless you're doing bad things and you're hurting people, then I'm concerned because I don't want to see anybody hurt. But in my world, in what I have to do, I got to ask. I don't care if this girl said yes or no to any other guy at the bar. I'm asking her out now. They're not Dan Tortora. They don't have what I have. I'm going to be me. Oh, I can't ask that girl out. She just turned down a guy that's 6'7". I'm 5'8". She's going to say no to me because in heels, she's going to be taller than me. Who cares? Ask that girl out. Ask that girl out. Take that time. Ask for that job. Stop thinking you're not worthy because your thought process that you're not worthy, then you start acting like you're not worthy, then you present yourself as not worthy, and then people consider you not worthy. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're worth it, then you will present yourself as being worth it, and then people will think, oh, maybe this person's worth it, and then all of a sudden you're worth it, and you created that self-fulfilling prophecy. And if you think you're not worth it, you've created that self-fulfilling prophecy. You are who you think you are, right? You are who you think you are. Because what you go after in your life, what you want, what you desire, you have to believe in it. If you don't believe in your marriage, it will fail. If you don't believe that you can man this ship, it'll crash. You might be worried. You might be concerned. You might have moments of doubt. But you have to believe in it. You have to believe in what you're doing. You think I ever wake up any day in my life and not believe that I'm a broadcaster, that I'm a business owner, that I'm capable? Do you think I believe that ever? I never believe that I'm not those things. The baseline, when I wake up in the morning, I don't even think about it. It's like, I got to do a show, I got to have a meeting, I got to do this, I got to do that, because I'm chasing my dreams. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know where I'm going. I know why I'm going there. And if at any point I have a doubt or a concern or a question, or there's a relationship that I'm not really feeling good about, I have to pull back and check that. I have to look at that. I have to understand that 99.9% of the time that something doesn't work out in my life, there was some type of notion that came before that where there was a warning inside of me that was like, I don't know if you should do that. I don't know if I trust that. I don't know if I like what I just heard. I can pinpoint in my life moments that in almost every relationship that didn't work, business or personal, I can pinpoint that there was a moment, or more than a moment, multiple moments, where something inside of me went, I don't like that. I don't think that's good. So you have to listen to yourself. You have to be willing to ask. You have to be willing to ask. If you want something in your life, you cannot be afraid. You think I get credentials by not asking for them? They just show up at the house? You have to ask. You think I've gone out on dates with people because I just sat in my house and said, she'll come to the door. You know, some lady will come to the door one day to deliver my mail, and I'll open the door and she'll go, I love you, Dan Tortora. You're the best. No, you have to ask. And you hear no a lot. The most successful people on the planet, how I look at success, the most successful people on the planet are the people that have heard no so many times and they don't care. We don't care. It doesn't matter. We get to a point where we hear no and we're just like, yeah, okay. If it's worth fighting for, then we keep going. If it's not, then we're like, all right. And 9 times out of 10, when you get used to hearing no and you get used to putting yourself out there and you get used to asking, you kind of anticipate your no's and anticipate your yeses. Because I've heard no's from places that I'll continue to fight for because I believe in it. And I've heard yeses from places that I think are going to be no's. See, if you get in the habit of not being afraid to live your life, you're not bothered by no's anymore. Whether it's a no or a yes, you're going to keep being you. See, you can't be you only when you hear yes. You can't stop being you when you hear no. You have to be you all the time. So I don't busy myself with the trivial questions that people tend to ask everybody, because I don't live in that world that a lot of those people are living in. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What is your thing with that? What is your... I don't see a lot of these questions. I'm not living in them. I'm living in every single day I wake up and my day is different. I am constantly working toward something. I'm working towards something. I'm not running away from anything. I'm working towards something. See, when you live your life running away from everything, it looks a lot different than running towards something. You either run towards stuff or you run away from stuff. Even in bad relationships, I didn't run away from bad business. I chose to leave it. I didn't run away from bad relationships. I eventually was like, Dan, this isn't good for you. You're going to have to, whether she breaks up with you or you break up with her, you need to move forward. You don't move backward. My buddy Isaac Alford, he told me his mom, God bless her in heaven, she said something to him. She said, honey, you can go in any direction you want, but don't ever go backward. You can pick any direction in your life, but never go backward. And I challenge you with that, right? Because when the well goes dry, we start to go backwards sometimes. And that doesn't mean that you can't revisit a relationship that maybe something didn't work out at the time and it can work out now. I'm not saying that. Right? I'm not saying like there was a girl you liked in high school and y'all never dated and you come across her again and you think to yourself like, oh, maybe I should ask her out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you know a dead end and you go back to the dead end. I'm not going back to any of my exes because the really nice women that I dated that weren't my person, I don't want to waste their time. Just like I didn't want to waste their time back then. And the people that weren't really nice, I don't want to go back to that tornado and have to throw a lasso around it again and ride it and hope to goodness that I don't get sucked up into it. Why would I go back to a tornado that I've already conquered? I've already gone beyond that tornado. And by conquered, I mean I got past it. I got over it. Why would you go back to it? Right? Well, I left this company where this boss was disrespecting me and I chased my dreams and I didn't get what I wanted and I feel like I'm failing, so I'm just going to go back to this boss and take the abuse again because it's better than nothing. No, it's not. No, it's not. Stop doing this. It's better than nothing. Because sometimes nothing is great. When I get in bed and I'm watching a movie and I got Lily next to me and there's total silence, there's that nothingness of silence. Not nothingness. We're in a house, right? We're together. We're safe. We're happy. We're healthy. God bless. But that nothing, right? There's nothing happening. I don't have any plans tonight. Sometimes that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. To just be. So don't be afraid to ask. Challenge yourself. You're not going to get anything by not asking. It's not just going to happen, folks. It's not just going to happen. You got to be willing to ask. And you have to be okay with hearing, no. No. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to date you. I don't want to hire you. You can't be afraid to hear that. Because now I don't even care that I hear that. No, I'm like, okay, next one. No? Okay, next one. I've lost track of how many girls I asked out. I've lost track of how many businesses that I've tried to work with. Because the only thing I'm concerned with are the good relationships that I find. Everybody else, goodbye. Everybody else is cutting room floor, right? I thought all of these scenes were going to make a really good movie. But like in any making of a movie, some of these scenes get cut out and they end up on the cutting room floor. So I thought just like every girl I asked out and every business I asked to work with and every person I asked to be friends with, I thought all of those were going to make my movie of my life. But the reality is, a bunch of those things ended up on the cutting room floor and a bunch of them didn't. And I don't miss the things that are on the cutting room floor because they're on there for a reason. And if something really cared, if a boss really cared about you, then they would do something in there. They would do some positive thing that you wouldn't leave. They wouldn't treat you poorly in the first place. If a relationship really cared about you, they wouldn't just let you leave and not show you that they love and care about you. If a friendship was valuable to somebody, they wouldn't just end the friendship and never talk to you again and not care. You have to ask yourself a question sometimes. What did I do? And what didn't I do? Stop living this life where you can't ask. Just ask. Ask. I had a friend in my life where I didn't know why he was being a certain way toward me. And one day I asked him. And the answer was ridiculous. And it was strange. And it was hypocritical. And it was naive. And it was ignorant. But I still got an answer. And it showed me exactly who he was. And it should have shown me that we shouldn't have been friends. But me, being the person that I am, gave him another chance and another chance. And now we're not friends. And I go back to that moment when I asked, why did you do what you did? And the reality of it all is, if somebody is willing to do something to you that you wouldn't do to them, you have to check that. You have to check that. Because you should work with businesses that you're equally yoked with, right? That you're going in the same direction, that you have similar morals and values and beliefs, because you have to combine on something more than just a pen and paper. You have to combine on something in a marriage more than just a pen and paper. You have to combine on something more in a friendship. You have to have those things that bind you. Because if you don't have those things that bind you together, you will be easily ripped apart. I grew up in a family that said, you have to love us because we're your family. You have no choice. We're your family. You have to like us. We're your family. That is a sick and disgusting way to try and teach somebody the word family. Family is a choice. Family shows up. Family are the ones that care. You can be my blood, but if you don't show up and you don't love me and you don't add positivity to my life and you are mean and you are heartless and you are ignorant and you are naive and you are hateful, we are not family. We may be blood, but I don't know you and you don't know me. I grew up more than half of my life with people in my family that I was forced to be around. That when I had the opportunity and they had the opportunity to make a choice if we're going to be around each other, they didn't want me anymore. And I don't care. Because when I look back on my relationship with these people, there was no genuine love there. And thank God God showed me it then and not today, 38 years in. Thank God he showed it to me, whatever it was, 10 years ago. Don't be afraid to ask. Now, and I could go to them and say, why don't you like me? What is your problem with me? I asked them a question and they gave me an answer that was very hurtful. But it was like, that's their answer. Whether I like it or not, that's their answer. And my parents raised me that way. Whether you like the answer or not, if you want the answer, go to the person that you want the answer from and ask. You may not like what you hear, but you'll get an answer. And nobody else can give you the answer because we're not them. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask for the job, to ask for the date, to ask to start the friendship. Don't be afraid to ask for a glass of water, right? When you go to a restaurant, if you don't ask for something, you don't eat. So treat your soul like that. Treat your heart like that. Treat your mind like that. If your body can't get nourished unless you ask for it, then how is your heart, your mind, or your soul going to get nourished unless you ask for it? So don't be afraid to ask. This has been Lead, proudly presented by the wonderful people at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay that proudly present this segment to you and our segment, The Light Between Us, with their fantastic team members telling their stories of faith, adversity, and their journey to be where they are today in a positive message that goes out to the world, right to your doorstep. Don't be afraid to ask, and always, always make sure you go out to Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. They are wonderful in the Chick-fil-A brand, but they're even better in the Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay brand because of the character of the team members that are there and the absolutely amazing leadership. And I can speak to it because I've been around it since they opened their doors, with Chick-fil-A Cicero opening first and Chick-fil-A after that. Learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, exclusively here on Wake Up Call. We'll take our final step aside. We'll come back with the top dog of the week right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvelange, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family friendly. Some family friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located for you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Make sure you make your way over to GG Cards and Breaks today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. They have packs, boxes, as well as singles and graded cards there for you. And they're the only sports card shop that I know that has every MLB, NFL, and NBA team in their own individual box where you can go to their back wall, pull out your favorite teams, and sit there and sift through all the cards. And it's not just base cards that are in those boxes, folks. There are refractors, there are rookies, there are patch cards, there are autograph cards, numbered cards. In those boxes, you're going to find some extremely awesome, great things to bring home for your collection. If you're like me, for example, I go to the Jaguars box, I go to the Raptors box, I go to the Diamondbacks box. I found some incredible stuff to bring home and add to my collection, and it is a great way to bond in the sports world to the players and the teams that you love is by going to GG Cards and Breaks and finding those players and those teams and bringing that home. Or just finding that awesome patch card, right? You might not be a fan of a team, but you just love that patch, and you go ahead and you bring that home. So there's a lot of wonderful things that you can find at GG Cards and Breaks to bond you to the teams you love, to the sports you love, and of course to the hobby that you love. Collecting has so much history in my life, and I would love for it to have that positive history in yours, where you might forget what you had for lunch, but you don't forget when your grandmother brought you to the sports card shop and what she got you that day. Sports cards are one of those things that are always top of mind to me in my memories, and GG Cards and Breaks has given me so many wonderful memories, as well as many of us in Central and Upstate New York. Go and see them today on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave, open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. With that being said here, folks, we're in our final part of today's broadcast, which is our top dog of the week. Top dog of the week is actually two other animals. Well, one of them is a dog, yeah, right? Because it's a husky, the Washington Huskies, and the Michigan Wolverines are my top dogs of the week. My first top dogs of 2024. They are my top dogs of the week, and I'm going to tell you why they're my top dogs of the week. Because of the fact that both of these teams gutted it out in fantastic finishes in both of the college football playoff semifinal games. In the Rose Bowl, Michigan found a way to gut it out in overtime. After commanding most of the game against Alabama, they did not disappoint and held on to get the victory and move on from the Rose Bowl to the college football playoff national championship, looking for their first CFP ever. First college football playoff national championship ever to be able to bring that home. The Washington Huskies, who have only been in one other college football playoff semifinal, lost to Alabama years ago in a game that was lopsided to the Crimson Tide. This time around, the Huskies find a way toward the end of the game to prevent multiple chances by their adversary, the Texas Longhorns. They get the victory, and they are moving forward into the national championship game for the first time ever, with an opportunity at winning the national championship for the first time ever. So the Washington Huskies and the Michigan Wolverines gutting it out the way that they did, doing the things they did to get to where they are. Just an incredible, incredible story for both. That's why they're my top dogs of the week, because they were the better teams. They showed that, and they found a way to get a victory and to move forward, and both of them having to be there in the final seconds to make defensive stops. Washington had to make a defensive stop in the end zone, and 3 yards out of the end zone, Michigan had to make a defensive stop as well. So shout out to both of these teams. My first top dogs of the week of the 2024 year here. So I'm very honored and privileged for the opportunity to bring this to you and to name them the top dogs of the week, as they are more than earning that role. Washington winning in the Sugar Bowl and seeing the victory by Michigan in the Rose Bowl. So the Rose Bowl, of course, being played out in California in Pasadena, and then seeing the All-State Sugar Bowl being played in Caesars Superdome, and seeing that down in Nolens. So a lot of great stuff going on here, and cannot say enough about these two incredible games, and the fact that both of these teams are undefeated. And with both of these teams being undefeated, we can get a national champion that feels true, right, to us, because it's a national champion that's coming from two 14-0 teams. So the national champion will be 15-0, which is huge. Now, they both got there in different ways, but we shall see. What did Greg say? Quite possibly the first Wolverine other than Marvel in your top dog acknowledgments. Yeah. Listen, Michigan was the better team that game. Were they as battle-tested as Alabama? Not in my opinion. Does the Big Ten have an unfair advantage? Absolutely. Michigan went up 4 spots in 2020 in the national rankings in the top 25 when they didn't play a game. They moved up 4 spots with a record of 0-0. They moved above teams that were playing. So, yes, there's an unfair advantage. Yes, it's as blatant as what I just said. But they were the better team against Alabama. They played a better game. They were more sound, and they took advantage of the fact that there were weaknesses in Alabama. There was weaknesses in Alabama's offensive line. There were weaknesses in Jalen Milroe. They took advantage of those things, and they took advantage. Offensively, they did enough to do what needed to be done. Michigan showed in that game, and I said it. If they win this game and they take care of business, of course I'm going to give them credit. Me thinking that they have an unfair advantage based on factual things that I can look at, as opposed to other teams and other conferences, I'm not going to just spew out something random. I back it up with facts. I've backed it up for years with Michigan, including this year. But to say that J.J. McCarthy didn't do what he needed to do, the defense didn't do what they needed to do, they did. They were the better team. And when it comes to the Washington Huskies and the Texas Longhorns, oh my goodness. Ewers? Looking at him. Ewers and on one side and Penix on the other side. I mean, are we not spoiled in that game? Were we not spoiled by the fact that that was just an awesome matchup? Michael Penix Jr. on one side, Quinn Ewers on the other side for Washington and Texas respectively. That was a game of quarterbacks just balling out. And down the line, down the stretch, Washington made that defensive play and the game ended in their favor. I mean, these were two different games because Jalen Milroe has got some work moving forward. J.J. McCarthy made better plays at the quarterback position. And then on the other side, Ewers and Penix, it was just incredible. And again, by saying that there were quarterbacks that played at a higher level, in my opinion, I in no way, shape, or form want to disrespect Jalen Milroe. I don't think he played to the caliber of an Alabama quarterback, and those are really high standards to me. They're incredibly high standards. They're higher than many. So, but Jalen Milroe was more one-dimensional and easier to figure out, and then having the offensive line in front of him not be as strong when you can figure the quarterback out and the offensive line is not like your typical. So you don't have your typical Alabama quarterback and your typical Alabama offensive line, meaning the level that the expectations are, which is typically head and shoulders above many places. With Alabama's offensive line and quarterback not playing to the caliber that we expect, Michigan showed that they were above that, and they exploited it, and they owned it. Now, could Michigan win every game in the SEC? That's left to be seen, if they were in the SEC. But in that game specifically, with Jalen Milroe not playing above the defense he was facing and the offensive line not being able to hold off the defensive line of Michigan, because look at when Michigan played Georgia, and they said that Aiden Hutchinson disappeared. Michigan, highly touted, team coming in. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be the number 1 overall draft pick. And look at how they played against Georgia. But then they play this Alabama team, and I still think Georgia should be in the college football playoff this year. And I think that Florida State should be in the college football playoff this year. That's why 4 is not enough. So when you look at this and you really break it down, to me, Michigan was obviously the better team in this game. And also, when you look at the other side of things here, for Washington and Texas, Washington was the better team. Washington doesn't get the respect that they deserve. They really don't. Because we hear about this, that, and the third about Michigan. And we hear about Alabama. And we, quite frankly, we could have heard more about FSU not getting in the college football playoff than we heard about Washington being in it. Washington was kind of that out, and the Pac-12 hasn't been well represented in the college football playoff. Washington and Oregon have been in, but there's a lot of times where they don't have any representation in the CFP. So to me, you got to look at this and say to yourself, what a great representation Washington Huskies are, not only for their institution and for their state, but also for the Pac-12. The unfortunate part of this is that they're representing the Pac-12 for the last time. And I spoke with Kalen DeBoer, their head coach, about that, about this unique situation of, this bittersweet, you're representing the Pac-12 and you're doing it in the college football playoff, but you're never going to do it again as a Pac-12 institution because you're moving to the Big Ten and the Pac-12 is, up in the air right now. So to see what Washington did against Texas, because I think a lot of people want to see Alabama-Texas. They want to see a rematch of Alabama's only loss of the season. And these two teams are going to be in the SEC with each other next year. So I think people wanted to see that, but they're getting the opposite because Michigan and Washington came up with huge defensive plays at the end of the game in front of their own end zone or in their own end zone. And that was huge. And they're both undefeated, like I said. So they have earned the right to see who stays undefeated and who takes their first loss of the season. That will happen this Monday, January 8th, with my top dogs of the week. Shout out to the Washington Huskies and the Michigan Wolverines. And make sure you take your dog to Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. I want to give a special shout out to Chris, who got in touch with me and said, hey, I know that you work with Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. What would you say about them? Did you ever bring Lily over there? Do you trust them? And I gave him my honest opinion and my thoughts about a place that I do trust with Lily and I trust with your dog. And he called and he booked his reservation. So make sure you do yours today. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110. And for Canine Kampground Dog Boarding for longer-term care for your dog, it's 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Do what Chris did and call over to Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, both located in East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street and right across from BJ's, so make sure you get in touch with them today. With that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast of Wake Up Call, and every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're back to our normal schedule. We've been off the last 2 Mondays due to the holidays. We'll be back to our schedule coming up this Monday with Murph. Very excited about that. Murph will be joining me here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And we will start your week off, as we always do, on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archive on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big time thanks to our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York. We implore you to go and visit them at Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, PB&J's Lunchbox, Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, where I was yesterday, and we have a new video up today featuring our first From Mother's Cupboard to Table on all of our channels, so you could check it out on youtube.com /wakeupcalldt, facebook.com /wakeupcalldt, and you can also get it. We're going to be putting it up on Instagram in some way, shape, or form this morning, and it's on, like I said, our YouTube channel, and we're going to put it up on X, the former Twitter, at CallDT. So make sure you check it out there, and make sure you head off to Mother's Cupboard today to try my Cuse McMother sandwich, my breakfast sandwich, for 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., only at Mother's Cupboard. You can order it every single week. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. And right down the road at Carvel DeWitt, you will get my sundae that is dedicated to the Lemoyne College Dolphins and the amazing, amazing student athletes, coaches, administration, and everyone involved over at Lemoyne, as well as the owner of Carvel DeWitt, who is an alum of Lemoyne themselves. So to all the alumni as well, future students and current students, head off to Carvel DeWitt to get your sundae, the DT Dolphin, today. Mint chocolate chip, topped off with hot fudge, whipped cream, cherry, as well as green and gold sprinkles and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream, only at Carvel DeWitt, the only Carvel in the world that is serving the DT Dolphin. So make sure you go and get that today. Speaking of Dolphins, the Lemoyne College Dolphins are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. AD and DT coming to you every first and third Wednesday of each month during Dolphin Time on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You can find all of this content by going to youtube.com /wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe, hitting the notification bell, and seeing our Lemoyne playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also go to wakeupcalldt.com and find Lemoyne under the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com, and as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month here with us and all throughout the year, speaking with men's and women's soccer, as well as men's and women's basketball, baseball, which had their inaugural season last season, and we have the opportunity to speak with esports coming up here as well. So always appreciate all the time that we get with the absolutely wonderful Bobcats of Bryan and Stratton, Syracuse, and their men's and women's basketball teams heading off into their second half of the season. And in the second half of the season, the men's basketball team is ranked number 1 in the nation. The women's basketball team is ranked number 2 in the nation. So in the top 2, both of these Bobcat basketball teams, go and support them at their games at Allen Hall at OCC. And of course, as always, we say go Bobcats. Find out more information on syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And of course, find them on our YouTube channel on youtube.com /wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. You also find the Bobcats under the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. With that being said, I want to thank Scottie Rodgers and the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, their Director of Communications, for his time as always and the way he does his job and the way he treats people. I truly cannot say enough about Scottie Rodgers and the way he's always treated me. So God bless you, Scottie, and keep being you. I really appreciate your friendship and your partnership in business as well. So God bless to you and yours. Big time shout out to Carvel DeWitt with the Annoying Moment of the Week, the longest standing segment on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, having our first of 2024. Of course, our first lead by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. Our first top dog of the week coming from Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. And you having your first few shows of 2024 here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Last year, we did 255 broadcasts in the morning of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And on top of that, we had a bunch of live on-site broadcasts as well. So thank you for all of your support, all of your love. Thank you for finding us, following, liking, and supporting us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, subscribing to all of our channels where you can get our show, as well as subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. I cannot thank you enough for a fantastic and memorable and record-setting, beautiful 2023.